Welcome back to Peace, Love and Tarot. This reading is for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. And Saggy, this is your weekly reading for January 13th to the 19th. This week, the cards we have for you, we have the Boundaries Oracle card, we have the Five of Cups, the Magician, Justice, Three of Swords, Four of Wands, and the Five of Pentacles. So Saggy, as I was pulling these cards, I got two clear messages. The first one was, it's time to leave the past in the past. And the second one was, time to draw a line in the sand as not to get stuck in the desert. So it's really time for you to leave past hurts behind, really work on healing yourself, create those boundaries and draw that line, leave the past in the past so that you can really transform your external reality and, be on your way to greater stability, to a beautiful, stable, new future. So it's an interesting reading. I'm just going to start off by reading out the Oracle card, guys. So just one moment. Boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? You're being called to create clearer boundaries in your life. This could be with your friends, family, or work. Saying yes when you really mean no leads to resentment, which is the biggest energy drain ever. At first it might be only a little bit and not feel like a big deal, but before you know it, your energy field becomes porous and you're left feeling depleted, resentful, or taken advantage of. Saying no and having clear boundaries is actually a spiritual act. The most loving, giving, compassionate people are those with the clearest boundaries, for when they say yes, they are able to give unconditionally. Now, it might be that you ended up in a situation where you didn't have clear boundaries and you were unable to, really establish your own sense of authority in a situation, which may have led to that feeling of lack that we see here. Because in the recent past, I'm going to go to this double five energy. So, in the recent past, some of you might be transitioning out of a period that has been quite challenging. It's been quite difficult. Now, these people in this card here are really entrenched in that victim mentality, and they feel very sorry for themselves. They're out here in the cold without shoes, without a place to sleep for the night, without food, but they're so wrapped up in that feeling of lack that they're actually missing the fact that they are passing the refuge of a church here where they could go in and get all of those things. So there is that message that by being stuck in the past, being stuck in the victim mentality, being stuck in the sadness, the depression, the grief that we see here, that we actually miss the bigger picture and we're missing opportunities, and we're missing opportunities to transform our life for the better. Now, the church here also represents the Hierophant, so this is also about perhaps being disconnected from your sense of spirituality, disconnected from your higher self, and potentially that's what you need to work on, is reconnecting to spirit, to self-love, as a way to, become whole again and to bring that sense of love and compassion back into your life. But, it really is that sense of, by staying in that energy, there is a lack breeds lack, and attracting more of that into your life. So we really want to draw that line in the sand and leave that kind of energy behind. Because the Five of Cups shows somebody who is firmly fixated on the past losses and the past hurts. I mean, these three cups here have already spilled, and there's no way to, get that water, that wine back into those cups. It's already soaked into the earth. And, we can't, if we just focus on what has been lost, it can hold us in a position of despair, of grief, of, guilt, negativity, even depression. And when we're encloaked in those feelings, we often don't see, again, the opportunities that are actually right under our nose. It really is time, Saggy, to build that bridge over the emotional waters and return to your own inner sanctuary to really rebuild yourself from an internal place, so that then you can start attracting what you truly desire in your external world. So some of you may have had a really challenging time. I mean, the Five of Pentacles really links to our financial aspects, any of our material assets. Some of you might have had a difficult time financially. Some of you may have lost money. Some of you may have lost a home. There's that kind of energy. But we can't dwell on how that made us feel and the emotional aspect of it. Otherwise, we just get stuck in that perpetuating cycle of conflict. So I really see that this week it is really time to bring a sense of justice to that situation and to heal from it as well. I think that by bringing a sense of justice to that situation that puts you in that energy, that is what's going to bring you back into a place of internal balance, back into a place of balance in your life. And through that, that is when you'll actually be able to start healing this energy. And some of you might actually be going through legal proceedings as part of this situation. For some of you, this could have been a relationship breaking down, a divorce even, loss of a job that led to hard financial times. But it's really time to, do what needs to be done to bring a fair and just modification to that situation. Now, justice can link to actual, documentation signing, new home contracts, sorting out the past ones, divorce papers, that kind of thing. But it's doing what needs to be done, to bring a sense of victory to this situation, to bring things back into balance, because the fives are quite out of balance energies. And, that is going to be the start of the healing process, Saggy. The Three of Swords really talks about deep hurts, of having, that heart split open, vulnerability, pain and grief. But the only way to really heal it is to face it head on, to expose that heart to the elements, and then it can start to heal. And when it starts to heal, that's when you have the ability to look to the future and to think about new manifestations for your life. Because this is a 3 after all. So this is the focus of the week here, Saggy, bringing that sense of justice, getting back into a place of power, bringing things back into balance, thinking about what needs to be done to, turn the situation around, both internally and externally. And then, guys, that's when the energy shifts. When you're back in balance, that's when the energy shifts. Because we have the Magician and we have the Four of Wands here. Now, the Magician is showing up all the time in readings at the moment. There is a real energy of potential transformation on offer to those who can awaken to the fact that they are powerful and they are the conscious creator of their own reality. You actually have all the tools within you, Saggy, to transform your situation for the better and to create true lasting abundance in your life. And it's through having that awakening that you unlock your infinite potential. Now, the saying with the Magician that really relates to this reading is as above, so below. And for me, that means that, whatever you're attracting into your external reality is a match for your internal reality. So we really need to do the inner work to not be in the victim mentality, to, get away from the negativity. And it's when we start transforming our inner world that we start reflecting and attracting the experiences and the people and the situations in our external world that we truly desire. So it all starts on the inside, Saggy. And if you can do that work, the promises are great. This is the Four of Wands. Four of Wands is the greatest card of security, stability, it's of abundance. It talks about relationships that go the distance, having a beautiful home, celebrating life, having true financial abundance as well. So this is where you could be heading, if we can heal the past, if we can leave the past in the past, if we can draw that line in the sand and then focus on the future. Yeah, it's beautiful energy there, Saggy. So it is, some of you might be coming out of quite a difficult time, I see, with that double 5 energy. The 5s, really link to conflict and change. But if we resolve that conflict and, make the conscious decision not to engage with it anymore, that's when the conflict energy can be transformed into change. And that's why we can, see in a reading going from, a 5 of Pentacles to a 4 of Wands reality. So, Saggy, I really wish you all the best with it this week. What could be, a fairly difficult time for some of you. Do keep in mind it's a general reading, so it won't necessarily be for every Sagittarius out there. Feel free to leave me a comment if you'd like to share how it's playing out in your daily life, and I'll see you back here next week for another reading.